We've been kayaking since 2016 and over the years have developed quite a list of items of clothing, equipment and other essentials that we take on every kayaking trip. This video quickly runs through the list of 40 items that we check off when we are packing to make sure that we don't forget to take anything with us on our paddling trips. You may not want to take all the same items as us, but this video should give you some ideas about useful items to take. The first category looks at different items of clothing that we normally take with us. Base layers, thermals and rash vests made from fabric such as lycra or polyester help to keep you warm and wick away any moisture whilst paddling, and we usually wear them all year round. We usually take kayaking jackets unless it's a very hot day. We prefer the zip neck jackets because you can open or close the neck depending on how warm you get. However, if you often get wet due to the type of paddling you do, then jackets with latex or neoprene neck and wrist gaskets may be better for you. Micro fleeces are great to layer up under your kayaking jacket in colder weather. While we rarely get cold while actually paddling, as soon as we stop we can often get cold very quickly and are glad for having some extra layers to put on underneath our kayaking jackets. Most of the guys wear swimming trunks for paddling in warmer weather, although I find neoprene shorts more insulating and they also provide a bit of extra padding when you're sat on the kayak seat all day. In the summer we tend to wear baseball caps, while in the colder weather we prefer more insulating hats, especially if you want to go for the Peaky Blinders look. Scarves are useful to pop on and off depending on how warm or cold you get as you paddle throughout the day, or if you're just vain like me and want to look a bit snazzier. We have different thicknesses of gloves that we wear kayaking, depending on how cold it is, to protect our hands from chafing due to prolonged paddling. In warmer weather, we wear water shoes which have perforated holes in the soles to let water drain out, with ankle-length neoprene socks underneath. In colder weather, we usually wear 7mm O'Neill neoprene boots with thicker neoprene socks underneath. A personal flotation device, or PFD, is an essential item of safety kit and should be worn at all times when paddling. We prefer the high-back paddling-specific PFDs, because the back pad sits higher than the back of your kayak seat. Dry trousers with built-in fabric socks are great for cold weather paddling since they keep your legs and feet dry and warm when wading in the water to land or launch. If the nature of the kayaking you do results in you being immersed in the water frequently, then a full dry suit or semi-dry suit would probably be a better option. Sunglasses are pretty essential to protect your eyes from the glaring sun, which also tends to reflect up off of the water when you are paddling. Always remember to take a change of clothes for after the paddle, especially if you are going for a post-paddle beer and some food in a waterside pub. Dry robes are really useful for keeping you warm when you have to change before the paddle or at the end of it. This second category looks at various equipment that we take on our paddling trips. Needless to say, it helps to remember to actually take your kayak with you. We usually use inflatable kayaks, which are stored in large carry bags, which we can either carry on our back like backpacks, or wheel along on the built-in wheels. We have accrued a wide range of kayak seats over the years, with some of our kayaks having inflatable seats. We often also put pads on the seat bases to provide extra comfort. If you use inflatable kayaks, like we generally do, then it's vital to remember to bring your pump and connecting tube. We sometimes take electric pumps which speed up the inflation and deflation process. We mostly use inflatable kayaks and always take repair patches with us just in case. However, in over 8 years of having used inflatable kayaks, I can only recall 2 or 3 occasions when we actually had any punctures, and only one of those punctures actually led to a chamber of the kayak deflating out on the water. Flags are by no means an essential item, but we usually try and take our flag to show our colours when we can. With the inflatable kayaks that we use, they mostly have skegs that you attach to slots on the hulls of the kayaks, and these greatly improve tracking. While paddles are obviously essential for kayaking, surprisingly some of us have actually forgotten to bring our paddles on more than one occasion, but luckily we've always had spares to make do. Ropes are useful for mooring up a kayak, tying our kayaks together if we stop for lunch on the water, or if one of the crew gets too exhausted to paddle anymore and has to be towed. We usually take additional bungee straps, which we use to supplement the bungee straps that most kayaks already have on their decks. Paddle leashes prevent you losing your paddle overboard, which could potentially leave you up the creek without a paddle. Dry bags are extremely useful for keeping items such as clothing and electrical items dry in the kayak, but always make sure that you tether them down or otherwise secure them to the kayak. Some of our inflatable kayaks come with footrest tubes, which are useful for bracing your feet against, since they help you to use your core muscles more when paddling. While not an essential item, kayak anchors can be used to stop your kayak from drifting. For instance, if you want to fish off the kayak, bilge pumps are useful for pumping out water, which can start to collect in the cockpit of your kayak as you paddle along, especially in rougher waters. A kayak trolley is useful if you have a heavy kayak and will need to cross a lot of ground to get from your car to the water, especially if you are a weakling like me. The third category on our list consists of various electronic items that we take on our paddling trips. We usually take action cameras, but also have to remember to take the spare batteries, mount-in cases, tripods, extendable selfie sticks and other accessories. Power banks are useful to stop you running out of charge on your phone and other electrical items. It's important to take your phone with you on paddling trips, but also important to make sure it's in a lanyard case strapped around your neck to make sure that you don't drop it overboard, as I once did when paddling off the Gower Peninsula. A marine VHF radio can potentially be a lifesaver when sea kayaking. Drones are another optional item which many people obviously won't take. If you're particularly brave or crazy like us, then you can fly the drone off the kayak, but that is something of a learned art, and we are doing a video about the trials and tribulations of flying a drone off our kayaks on the water. Fourthly, we look at miscellaneous other items that we take on our paddling trips. Sunblock is pretty essential to protect your skin from the sun when out paddling. However, we've still managed to end up looking like lobsters after some of our kayaks. Lip salve helps to stop your lips from drying out, which can be a particular problem when sea kayaking due to the salt from the water collecting on your lips. Out on the water, I take some money and a car key with me in a small watertight container, which I keep inside of a zipped pocket on my PDF or on my kayaking jacket if I'm wearing one. This is a backup in case I somehow end up in the water and lose my kayak and dry bags. In that worst case scenario, at least then I can get a taxi or bus back to my car. We normally take some food and drinks with us on our paddling trips, and our traditional cider stops are something of a kayak crew tradition. We often, though, also stop off for a pub lunch if we pass any waterside pubs along our route. We always pack hand sanitizer on our paddling trips. We usually stop for a lunch break, and the sanitizer is super useful because our hands are usually quite wet from sea, canal or river water by then. Last but not least, while not the most glamorous of kayaking equipment, a shrinkable urinal can be a lifesaver if you caught short on open water, such as on the sea, and can't get back to shore to relieve yourself. We'll save you the ordeal of having to watch footage of us actually using one. We've set out our list of 40 items we usually take with us below this video, or you'll be able to download them from our website if you want. If you have any items of clothing or gear that you take on your paddles which we've not covered, then comment below to let us know what they are. We always seem to be in a rush getting ready to go out on our paddling adventures, and going through a checklist does help us not to get too stressed when we are rushing to get all of our gear together and packed into the cars. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider subscribing by clicking on the left below. Click on the right below to be taken to our playlist of other videos in our Kayaking Guides playlist on our channel. Happy paddling from the Kayak crew.